Greetings everyone, and welcome back to the next part of our 1v1 ranked season picks. So the first video was very long. We're going to try and cut out a lot of the bump by not bothering to look at the ships that I don't think hold any particular weight, and I'm just going to go straight to the ones that do. So we're going to start off straight away. Tier 4 Farragut. What an absolute beast. By far the best ship for dealing with other DDs and cruisers. The artillery is really strong. Get a broadside cruiser. If you've seen my how to get 10 Citadel hits in one match videos, every single time, Farragut, if it's tier 4, is the absolute go-to ship. So it's very, very good against cruisers. Very good against DDs because it has probably the best artillery, and its concealment is pretty good as well. Torpedo boats, well, there's nothing else to consider if you want to do torpedo boats, and you've got the Kamikaze available through the Firepower Deluxe Edition. If you haven't got it, you can pick it up on Amazon for like £10, like $15. I won't rant about that. So yeah, torpedoes can fire six torpedoes every 35 seconds. They've got a 7-kilometer range and a 72 knot speed. With my build, also 4.5 kilometer detection range. It is absolutely filthy, and just because they should absolutely never be carried out. Yeah, the French DDs, which are really, really strong, and especially when you haven't got radar to worry about, definitely a good pick. So they've got very strong artillery. Alright, you probably don't want to get into 1v1 fight with a Farragut, but yeah, not much else to worry about really. 8.1 kilometer torpedoes at 63 knots, very effective against battleships and cruisers. Concealment 5.3, but running speed boost build with Philippe Abamier. The go all out perk, as discussed in our previous video, will get you down to like almost 4 kilometers detectability, so you can outspot a Kamikaze if you have the right build in the Jaguar. Yeah, we're not even going to bother discussing any of the others. Obviously, if you think I've missed something out, do drop a comment and let me know, and we can have a discussion in the comments, obviously, and maybe even post an updated video. So cruisers, Marblehead and Omaha, very good in general against other cruisers. Marblehead, if you're lucky enough to have it, has 8.2 kilometer torpedoes. I believe the Omahas are much shorter. They're only 4 or 5 kilometers, 5.5 kilometers. So there's some ability to counter battleships with torpedoes, but very good at hunting, probably the best in class at hunting down DDs, although DD hunting is not particularly easy in any ship whatsoever. I genuinely think the Farragut is absolutely going to rule tier 4, but only time will tell. So Fear Attacker definitely deserves a good mention. Fear Attacker is very good artillery. It has 10 kilometer torpedoes, and its concealment 10.3. That's pretty much stealth firing torps. If you've got aggressive battleships, you can have some fun firing torpedoes at them. Although the reload time is quite long, you do have 2 sets of 4 that you can fire. So as long as you space them out well, you're talking 45 seconds between torpedo salvos at a battleship, but it does rely on it chasing you down. Also, Fear Attacker can be made to be quite fast and agile, so it can kite away. It can hold its own against pretty much every other cruiser in the game. So Fear Attacker, in all fairness, is probably my #1 pick. But if previous ranked and recent seasons have taught us anything, it is that the Emile Berton is the king of the cruisers. The only problem with being king of the cruisers, and is the fact that now you can come up against battleships, which kind of drops it down behind the Fear Attacker for the best cruiser to pick at tier 4. So the Emil, its survivability is kind of key. Its armor is very good against other cruisers. Its artillery is very strong against other cruisers. It's reasonable against battleships, but the slow reload can let DDs get away from you. But it is fairly maneuverable, and it does have 7.5 kilometer torpedoes, but they're fairly slow. But I would, the Fear Attacker is the only cruiser I'm gonna play, but the Emil Burton and the Omaha / Marblehead are definitely viable options. And yeah, that's it. None of the others, in my opinion, are worth even looking at. So battleships. New York is actually fairly maneuverable, if I remember rightly. Let's have a quick look at the stats. So maneuverability, 12.5 second rudder shift time for a battleship's pretty good. That's going to be handy against DDs. Obviously, it's the New York. We know it's tanky. We know it's got very nice guns, although they're American BBs. At lower tiers, they can be a little bit trolley. So the New York's there. The New York's there as a pick. To be honest with you, none of the other ships I think are even worth playing. Any other battleship, these two, my two picks, you're probably going to lose out to them anyway, and the fact that they're better at countering other ships, ship classes, just mean none of them are worth looking at. So the Julius Caesari, very tanky, 36% torpedo reduction. Not to mention that the New Mexico has 45% torpedo reduction. Pretty fast firing guns. It is really quick for a battleship. 27 knots, 13-second rudder shift time. Julius Caesari is just a strong BB. But again, this ranked season is not going to be for BB players. Cruisers, you've got a chance to get against everything. In a battleship, you've got no chance against the DD, so it's just a bad tier to pick, and you play a DD depending on what DD you pick. Battleships are going to have no chance, and even a lot of cruisers aren't going to have any chance as well. So yeah, that's tier 4 covered. That was much quicker. Right, so let's get straight into tier 5 battleships, as we've got them up already. So New Mexico. Why the New Mexico? Oh, sorry. So what was the tier 4? I got it wrong. The tier 4 has 28% torpedo reduction. New Mexico has 45% torpedo reduction, although it's not particularly maneuverable. But New Mexico, it's got very good guns. Why not the California? California's too slow, to be perfectly honest with you. Tennessee, its rudder shift time is absolutely awful, and it's just too slow, so it basically can't do anything. Queen Elizabeth or Warspite is going to be my next pick. Obviously, they have very good heels. They have a very good artillery, although they don't quite have the knockout power of the Americans. You're less likely to overpen cruisers because you have the short fuse armor piercing. Very maneuverable and reasonably quick. And yeah, the Warspite is just the best tier 5 battleship. There's no arguments in that, I don't think. you can try, but yeah, no, there is simply no battleship that is better than the Warspite at tier 5. And honestly, much goes the same due to sort of how low their torpedo reduction is and how slow their rudder is to counter to have a chance of even surviving against a DD. Never mind killing them. I think the others are pretty much out of it. Dunkirk might be a decent shout just because it's fast. You'll be able to hunt down, might be able to hunt down DDs. But like I've said, battleships are just not going to have any fun this season whatsoever. So move on to cruisers. So Pensacola, again, if Ranked and Arena has taught us anything about how good cruisers are in their tier, Pensacola against other cruisers is brilliant. It does have sonar, so it's got some countering of DD ability, but its guns are also strong enough that it can do a lot of damage, and even Citadel battleships. Problem is, it is a bit weak, so it doesn't have that all-round capability, but against other cruisers, it's probably gonna be, it'll be the best. Raf Spey has got, might have something to say about that, but my personal pick, honestly, best all-round cruiser for tier 5 in 1v1 ranked is going to be the Orba. Why the Orba? Right, it's got very good guns, so it's gonna handle other cruisers quite well. You can do good damage to battleships. I've not got a particularly agile maneuverability build, but you can give battleships some headaches and increase the chance that they're not going to get that lucky shot that's going to Citadel you. Also 10 kilometer torpedoes with 9 kilometer detectability, 2 quad launchers, very much the same as when we were discussing the Fear Attacker. If there's a push-in BB trying to hunt you down, yeah, you can basically set a fire of 4 torps off every 45 seconds, and you know, that can definitely help you out. That can be a huge advantage. But Johnny, obviously, I want to try and stay away too much from premium ships. Obviously, the Graf Spey is very tanky, quite good against battleships, not so good against DDs, but very good against cruisers. Graf Spey deserves an honourable mention, as well as the de Grasse, the most utilitarian ship in the tier. But Johnny, being the only cruiser in tier 5 with radar, is obviously going to be quite nice, taking on DDs. And I'm going to throw the Duca de Costa in there as a wild card, because this thing has crazy torps. I say crazy because there's nothing normal about them. So they only travel at 51 knots, but they do have a 12 kilometer range. So it is quite reliant on BBs just trundling along in a straight line, or you know trying to get you. But it's quite fast. It's very maneuverable. It's got good concealment. It's got good guns. So all round a very good cruiser. It can hold its own. It's got reasonably good armor, so you can angle against battleships. Although you don't really have the artillery to cause any major damage. Being quick and quite maneuverable, you should be able to annoy a battleship into doing something stupid, and maybe crashing headlong into your torpedoes. Right. So Farragut is going to rule tier 4. The only ship that really might cause it some trouble, well, there's 2, is the Kamikaze and the Jaguar, but if they get spotted, the Farragut's going to outgun them. So Farragut is going to be my number 1 pick for those 2 tiers. So let's move swiftly along to tier 6. So tier 6. Right, okay, let's start off with DDs. Let's try and get some sort of pattern going here. Orkan, honourable mention. It's the only DD with radar, and with radar and smoke, you can combine that to use against cruisers and destroyers. and that's very handy. Obviously it's a DD, so against battleships can't really do anything about it. So only problem with the Orkan is it doesn't really have the, if it catches a DD with radar, it doesn't really have the firepower to knock out a DD in one go, so you're going to have to wait for your radar to reload to finish them off, unless they're stupid enough to try firing back at you, and they keep themselves spotted. Wait, did I just realised I didn't cover the tier 5 DD, did I? I've jumped up to tier 6 here. I'm going to apologise for that. Tier 5 DDs, there's only one. T61. Sonar, smoke, perfectly good for dealing with other DDs. Not the best guns in the tier, but they have absolutely fantastic guns in the tier. If you don't have the T61, the Gator is the next option, and if you have the British ones, Icarus. Icarus, quite simply because smoke generator, 8 smoke screens that reload every 40 seconds. The torps have got good range at 8 kilometers anyway, but you can get quite close to cruisers. If you're losing a fight against a DD, or if you get spotted by a cruiser or a battleship, you've got these oh fuck, I made a mistake smoke screens that you can use to quickly fire up a turnaround and get the hell out of there. So yeah, sorry about that. There's a lot going through. So yeah, so we've already mentioned Orkan. Orkan definitely deserves an honourable mention. Then it's the same thing again. It's the German DDs. German DDs are just all round best. If you've got the Z23, 35 or 39, you have 5 kilometer detectability of ships with sonar, 4.2 in the mass. So you know, the 35 and 39 are better. They've got the best probably got the best all-round torpedoes, best all-round guns. Like honestly, there's 1v1. It's one of these two you want, or the mass. Again, honourable mention to the Vokalin is again, Vokalin has very good artillery. It has very good torpedoes, 65 knots, 7 kilometers, but it always comes down to that concealment. 5.7 minus 20% with the speed boost. You're looking at, well, okay, 4.7 kilometer detectability. The only thing that's going to out detect you really are going to be the Japanese gunboat, Japanese torpedo boats. But again, their artillery is so weak, you're just gonna destroy them. Tier 6 cruisers are up next. Right, okay, so Indianapolis, arguably the best tier 6. Well, basically I've got the 3 best tier 6 cruisers, and you can argue over which one is best in chat, and in all fairness, there's one that I'm missing, one contender, but because of the 1v1 basis, yeah, it's just the Fiji just doesn't cut the mustard in 1v1. Indianapolis is better because it has radar, it has smoke, and its guns are powerful. It's got enough armor that can ricochet and bounce some heavy artillery from battleships, but its guns are strong enough that they can really hurt battleships. Not quite so strong. Fiji's obviously stronger against DDs purely because of the rate of fire, but yeah, the Indianapolis is very good for countering DDs with its 3 radars and its smoke. Next, if you were lucky enough to pick up this beast, Hms Belfast is coming in as my second choice, quite simply because smoke, sonar, radar. So radar with the Belfast, it's got fast firing guns, what's it, every 7.5 seconds. So killing DDs, 8.5 kilometers. You've got 25 seconds to do it. Probably the best cruiser for hunting DDs. Also, you can combine the smoke and radar to inflict some damage on battleships. Fiji, I don't even think I should give it an honourable mention, to be honest with you. There's no combination. You've got a choice of smoke or plane. If you could run smoke and plane, it would be really good. It does have torps, which the Belfast doesn't, so you can try YOLO rushing. So Fiji's very strong against other cruisers. The Talon is probably going to mess it up, in all fairness. You can try rushing and torping a battleship. You can, you know, if you can use islands to get close enough to surprise a battleship from the side, like, yes, it's still very viable. But the Belfast is just better because it has that radar. Weenma is going to be terrible, so we're not going to even look at that. Talon is going to be our next one. So, why the Talon? Right, well, its guns are really dangerous. It has a 9-kilometer radar, which is kind of helpful. The reason why the Talon's better: Talon will destroy all cruisers. Talon can really hurt battleships. It's not the easiest fight, but it's probably got the best chance out of all of them against battleships. And having those 2 radar consumables and sonar, dealing with DDs is manageable, although not easy. You know, you can have a better time in the Fiji or the Belfast against DDs. You probably have a slightly better time in the Omaha, in the Indianapolis as well. But overall, like, if you're going to get into a 1v1 scrap with a battleship in a cruiser, the Talon's probably where you're gonna want to go. I think, as I mentioned, because I've kind of stepped away from the Japanese cruisers. Basically, when you get into this territory, Japanese cruisers tend to only really be effective when they're kiting, and in a 1v1 scenario, kiting just doesn't work. If there's a cap, which I'm assuming there's going to be, all they need to do is chase you, push you back past the cap, turn around, sit in the cap the base. All they need to do is disengage. Like, kiting cruisers are only good if you engage them. If you disengage them, you've just made them useless, and then they've got to take the time, effort to turn around to come and get you. And in that time, then you can look at repositioning yourself, or, you know, potentially going in, taking the cap, setting up some sort of trap for them. So there's options, but I think kiting cruisers in 1v1, they will be effective because there will be people stupid enough to chase them. As soon as you stop chasing them, that's exactly when victory will be yours. Right, okay, so this video is pushing up for 25 minutes now. I think that's more than long enough. We will do one more video, so there will be 3 in this series, and in the last one we will cover Team 7. So I do hope you enjoyed the video. Obviously, drop your comments below. Anything I've missed out, let me know. Anything I've done completely wrong and you think you want to call me an idiot, go ahead, do that right down there, and we'll catch you in the next video.